Tonight on NBN News, a car slams into a house on the Central Coast. Charges laid over a nasty crash at Hamilton, and the Hunter enjoys its first race day since lockdown. More details in NBN News at 6. Tonight, crash carnage. A driver allegedly high on ice slams into a home on the Central Coast. Doubts New South Wales will reach 95% vaccination because of an unlikely setback. Thousands march in Melbourne against mandatory vaccination. Tax relief on the cards for millions of Australians as the next election nears. And the quiet confidence driving Australia's charge towards the T20 World Cup title.
This is NBN News.
Good evening. An alleged drug driver has caused chaos on the Central Coast overnight, slamming into a home at Narara. While no one inside was hurt, a 2-year-old girl in the back seat of the car suffered minor injuries.
Front yard and front room obliterated by a car. It was a frightening Friday night for one family. Laura Coffey, NBN News.
The state's goal of reaching 95% double dose could be in doubt, with tens of thousands of people not going back for their second vaccine. The latest data has health authorities urging those who have only received one dose not to be complacent.
At Sydney's newest vaccine hub in Granville, no queues but a hearty few making sure they're fully vaccinated.
The Blue Mountains is set to be transformed in a stunning plan that's both a win for tourism and a boost for environmental protection. A world-class adventure eco-park will boast Australia's longest zip line, rock climbing and dozens of kilometres of bike and walking trails.
For a world-class eco-park, the perfect home among the gum trees. Lauren Tamazi, NBN News.
The federal government is considering a pre-election plot to extend income tax cuts, putting $1,000 into the pockets of Australians. But the modelling behind its net zero climate policy has been widely panned as the Glasgow Climate Summit failed to meet its deadline on how to ease global warming.
Setting fire to the world, a metaphor, as climate activists turn Glasgow streets red with anger. Jonathan Kersley, NBN News.
A Lake Macquarie man has been charged over a police pursuit and crash in the Newcastle suburb of Hamilton on Thursday. Richard Barnes was allegedly behind the wheel of a Suzuki Swift that T-boned a ute and crashed into a power pole after failing to stop for police. The 38-year-old remains in John Hunter Hospital under police guard and has been refused bail. He was a footy fan, a family man, a larrikin and a leader. Newcastle's Aboriginal community today saying goodbye to a giant among men. And a warning to our Indigenous viewers, the following story contains the name and images of someone who has died.
After he'd welcomed countless to the Knights' home ground on Awabakal country, it was only fitting that McDonald Jones Stadium set the scene to farewell Aboriginal elder Bill Smith. Sarah Giuliano, NBN News.
Throwing their support behind an important cause, Knights players Bradman Best and Dom Young grabbed some silly socks at Broadmeadow McDonald's for Mac Happy Day. The money raised from sock sales and $2 from every Big Mac sold going to Ronald McDonald House,
which helps support families with seriously ill or injured child, and it keeps those families together and close when their child's having treatment or surgery in the hospital.
McHappy Day has raised more than $56 million in the past 30 years. Elsewhere in Newcastle, others were showing they care, but in a different way. The Stay Kind team stopping people on their morning walk along Bathers Way to talk about World Kindness Day. The group even wrote messages on hearts, which are now strung up for passers-by to read. It was a wild and windy day at the Newcastle racecourse for the first major meeting since lockdown ended. The $1 million race day drawing an impressive crowd.
What a difference 8 weeks makes. Samantha Pote. Cheers! NBN News.
Checking temperatures in the Hunter today, we had a top of 21 degrees at Norah Head, 20 for Nobbies, 22 at Nelson Bay. You're watching NBN News. Later in the bulletin. Inside the elephant nursery, soon to welcome 3 newborns. But after the break, finally free Britney Spears' conservatorship torn up. And wedding bells for jailed WikiLeaks founder Julian Assange. Prime Minister Scott Morrison joined US President Joe Biden and China's Xi Jinping for a virtual meeting of regional leaders. The APEC countries pledged to address climate challenges and the economic recovery from COVID.
We are focused on driving a coordinated economic response to the biggest downturn in 75 years.
While Scott Morrison talked about the importance of a free and open Indo-Pacific, China's Xi Jinping said his country would unswervingly open up beyond its borders. The presidents of the United States and China are expected to hold virtual talks on Monday. Britney Spears is finally free. A Los Angeles judge ending the conservatorship that's controlled the pop star's life for more than a decade. Fans delighted with the decision.
Hey, hey, ho, ho. Conservatorship has got to go.
Out in force and with the end in sight. In Los Angeles, Alison Petrowski, NBN News.
Donald Trump's former advisor Steve Bannon could be sent to jail after being charged with contempt of Congress. Mr. Bannon failed to appear before a committee investigating the January 6 attack on the US Capitol. He's facing 2 charges, each carrying a minimum of 30 days and a maximum of 1 year in jail. WikiLeaks founder Julian Assange has been given special permission to marry his fiancée in jail while he waits for a possible extradition to the US. The bride-to-be is Stella Morris, his former lawyer, with whom he has 2 children, conceived while he was holed up in the Ecuadorian embassy. The ceremony will be held at a prison in London. Stay with us. Coming up next, desperate migrants caught up in a border dispute in Eastern Europe. Heartfelt reunions as the HMAS Canberra docks after months at sea. Plus, the tiny Antarctic penguin found very far from home. Thousands of people have brought Melbourne to a standstill, rallying on the steps of State Parliament, demanding the Premier be sacked. The protesters are fighting proposed laws that would give Daniel Andrews the power to declare a pandemic.
You couldn't see a square inch of the road, tram tracks or footpaths beneath a sea of frustrated Victorians.
Experts are warning of a resurgence of the flu in 2022 as our borders reopen. There have been 602 cases of influenza so far this year, compared to the 5-year annual average of almost 150,000 cases. In New South Wales, only 81 cases have been recorded for 2021 so far. In 2019, there were 113,000. Warehouse workers for clothing brand Country Road have chained themselves outside a shop in Melbourne. They're fighting for a pay rise and respect, claiming they're being treated poorly and their wages are lower than the industry average. Hundreds of our sailors are tonight back with their families after nearly 5 months at sea. The HMAS Canberra gliding through Sydney Harbour after a tough mission, largely confined to the ship.
They left in the middle of lockdown, and today, after 4.5 months at sea, HMAS Canberra's 450 crew returned to a different city.
It's time for sport now with Kate Haberfield, and the Aussies are set for the World Cup final, Kate.
They're set and they're full of confidence. Thanks, Jane. After the break, unsung hero Adam Zampa reveals how critics helped push his performances to new heights. The Wallabies out for their first win over England since 2015. And a supercar's young gun shines in a drama-filled race. With names like Smith, Warner, Cummins and Stark, it's hard to get a share of the limelight, but that doesn't bother Adam Zampa one bit. The spinner's been Australia's unsung hero at the T20 World Cup as the side chases history.
For all of Australia's success on the international stage, there's one trophy that still eludes them.
The Wallabies are coming off their first loss in 6 games. They've been hit by injury and tomorrow they'll run out to more than 80,000 screaming English fans. But skipper Michael Hooper insists Australia is relishing the opportunity.
It's going to take some doing tomorrow, there's no question. These are the games you dream to be a part of as a young bloke, so yeah, pretty excited.
In a moment, Lost and Running wins the Hunters' richest race. And an on-court scuffle cost Joe Ingles thousands. Lost and Running has taken out Newcastle's richest horse race, the Hunter. The John O'Shea-trained New Zealand gelding was brought home beautifully by Hugh Bowman. They finished 10th and 11th last A-League season and tonight play off to secure a spot in the FFA Cup. Western United host the Newcastle Jets in Geelong, both sides out to prove a point.
After a long, fitness-focused pre-season, the new-look Jets are about to face their first real test.
Hamwicks tore through Charlestown in round 2 of Newcastle and District Cricket. Charlestown won the toss and elected to bat at a very windy Passmore Oval, and they didn't last long. Opener Michael Richardson found a boundary early, but they'd be his only runs, caught on 4 by Aaron Cooper. Edward Bartlett claimed his second wicket of the day when Matthew Bench was out LBW on 5. He ended with figures of 3 for 23 as Charlestown were all out for 85, Hamwicks winning by 7 wickets. In today's other games, West scored a bonus point win over Stockton in another low-scoring game. Merriweather defeated Belmont. City scored victory over Wallsend. Toronto collapsed in their run chase, losing the last 5 wickets for 8 runs and losing to Uni, while Waratah's total of 206 was more than enough to beat Cardiff. Oh, it was a tough day to play cricket, Jane.
It sure was. Blowing a gale outside today. Thank you, Kate. We'll check all the Hunter weather details coming up next. Weather time now. Gale force winds hammered the Hunter today, gusting up to 82 kilometres an hour. A strong wind warning is in place for tomorrow. Storm clouds are plenty this week. This superb shot by Jason Sharman at Mardi on the Central Coast. The storms and heavy rain have eased for the next few days at least. Let's check the satellite first. Cloud across the nation's southeast with lows, troughs and a cold front is generating strong winds, rain, showers and the odd storm over South Australia, Tasmania, Victoria and southern New South Wales. Cloud over the top end and northern Queensland where the trough is causing thundery showers. A high is keeping elsewhere settled. On the synoptic chart tomorrow, a low will move off the east coast, bringing more settled conditions for northern New South Wales, but will continue to bring areas of rain to southern New South Wales, Tassie and Victoria. Cool and cloudy today with some showers in the upper Hunter, but the gale force westerly winds with a big talking point, keeping most of us indoors. A top of just 20 for Nobbies, 22 for Nelson Bay and Williamtown, 19 for Singleton, 12 for Murrurundi. Tomorrow's forecast, partly cloudy with a slight chance of a shower about the upper Hunter, expecting 24 degrees and a windy day for Newcastle, 23 for Nelson Bay and Raymond Terrace, 22 at Cessnock and Singleton, 2 to 11 for the Barrington Tops. A strong wind warning for tomorrow, westerlies up to 30 knots, seas at 3 metres with a 2 metre swell. The sun to rise at 5:43 and set at 7:30, and the 7-day outlook for Newcastle. Monday, mostly sunny with strong westerlies, partly cloudy for Tuesday, a top of just 21. Some possible showers for Wednesday and Thursday. For Scone, sunny and windy for Monday, a top of 22 for Monday and Tuesday, 25 on Wednesday, up to 30 degrees and partly cloudy on Friday. And finally for Gosford this week, partly cloudy on Tuesday with a possible shower from Wednesday, 23 the top on Monday, 20 on Tuesday, showers and 21 on Wednesday. Finally tonight, he broke records when he was 16 and today Ned Wheeland outswam others again.
As the sun came up at Bondi, Ned Wheeland was gearing up to swim himself into the history books once again.
I'm the youngest Australian male to swim the English Channel. I gave myself about 2 years to prep for that and it was kind of just a dream ever since I was 12.
The 20-year-old's challenge today, 62 laps of Sydney's most iconic beach, putting his mental strength to the test for the good of others.
I've raised about $11,000 for Are You OK?
With his goggles in place and some encouragement from Dad Mark and Mum Pip,
Let's go.
Ned dove in, roughly 48 kilometres ahead of him.
We've had such a tough 2 years with the ongoing lockdown, and we've had some great people take their lives over the years. It's nothing compared to what they have to go through. So, I mean, this is for them. This is for all of you guys finding it tough.
Swimming multiple laps of Bondi Beach is no new feat, but 62 laps in one go is.
I gave myself kind of like a 7 week preparation to swim a lot of Ks, and I thought I would just give myself a bit of a challenge, swim every morning, every afternoon, pump in about 65k weeks.
Pumping it out paid off. Ned breaking the record at around 5:30 this afternoon after a gruelling 12 hours in the water.
Big day on the tools.
Met with hugs and handshakes back on shore, while incredibly humble about his massive achievement.
I'm not too concerned with getting the record. It's just spreading the "Are you okay" message today, and and just the support that's been down here all day. I'm so wrapped.
Michelle Tavaniti, NBN News.
And that's all for now. Good night.